What's up, everyone? So, I've been asked a lot to address the situation in Afghanistan, the current events, and what's going on. Before we get started, though, a few disclaimers. Okay, obviously, I was in the British Royal Marine Commandos. I didn't actually go to Afghanistan. I was BCR twice, one for 40, one for 4-5. I actually went through all of pre-deployment training with 4-5 Commando, and then they ended up replacing a bunch of us with Royal Marine Reserves. I was BCR for a while, and then I decided to volunteer for anti-piracy instead. So although I never went out to Afghan, I had a lot of friends who did, and I feel like I still have a relatively good place to give a bit of an opinion. The second disclaimer is, if you are coming to this video thinking that you're going to get a political opinion or a hidden agenda to bolster your political views, then you've come to the wrong place. I do not talk politics on this channel. I never have. I never will. Although this is very close to political, I'm not going to be saying this person did this and this person did that. And if you're using this situation in Afghanistan to bolster your political opinion, then one, I feel like that's a selfish thing to do, and it's a very privileged thing to do after seeing some of the scenes of what's going on over there. So do not use this tragic event to bolster your political agenda. I think that's a tragic thing to do. There's been mistakes from a lot of different countries, from a lot of different people, but we'll address that in a little bit. Firstly, I think the worst thing about this situation is all the innocent women and children, and it's even some guys who wanted the best for Afghan are now in a really bad situation. There's videos of people falling off planes. There's children lining up at school, not allowed to go anymore. Girls being separated from the guys. There's some horrible things going on in the country now that is truly heartbreaking. It's truly heartbreaking, and us as Brits and Americans, we've never known that. We've never known that worry and that struggle before. So seeing that is heartbreaking, and trying to empathize with that is hard, because again, we've never experienced that ourselves. So being so desperate that you're clinging onto the side of a plane and then ultimately falling off thousands of feet in the air is horrific. Like, you've got to be so desperate to get out of that country, and that's truly heartbreaking. There's a few different ways we can go about this video, right? I've been trying to figure out how I'm going to talk about this video and get my opinion across, but I'm seeing people online saying, 20 years of a waste, which you can look at from both sides. We probably shouldn't have been there for 20 years. We probably needed to be there 10, if that. It wasn't a waste. Bearing in mind, 20 years ago, I was 10. I'm 30 this year. I was 10, right? So there have been people that have grown up in that country with the protection of the British and the American military, right? They've grown up with that protection, and they've been able to go and do great things. And if we weren't there, then that probably wouldn't have happened, right? So for some people, us being there for 20 years has literally given them an opportunity to live their lives, at least relatively peaceful up until now, right? And I'm trying to pull positives out of what is a very, very dark situation, but that's the way I'm seeing it. There's families who had children when America first went into the country. That child is now 20 years old, and they might be getting a scholarship in America, in Europe, in Asia, or something, and they might be living a dream that the parents were never able to have. And that's something very special. That's something very special, and we should respect that, and we should acknowledge that, and we should be very grateful of that. Again, on the same side, we probably shouldn't have been there for 20 years. The Afghan army were never going to be able to hold that country. They didn't when Russia were in there, and they ultimately left in 89, I think it was. Britain's been slowly leaving Afghan since 2014, I'm pretty sure. America's been leaving now since I think it's like March 2020. I might be getting all these dates wrong, but what I'm saying is we've had ample amount of time to understand the Afghan army were never going to hold this country. Some of the soldiers, some of the Afghan special forces, some of the soldiers were really keen on keeping it, but the majority obviously didn't. And ultimately the country fell to the wrong people. It's heartbreaking. It's a heartbreaking situation, and there's more things to address, like seeing these images of American taxpayers' equipment, these weapons, which is very very mirror image of when the British and Americans first went in, and all these terrorists were using AKs from the old Russia wars, right? And now they're turning around with M4s and all sorts of different Humvees, and I seen a video of him in a gym, in an American gym, and there's billions of my taxpayer money. I didn't pay billions in tax, but I spent money, like American tax money, gone to the hands of the wrong people, and that should be addressed. Because that's kind of pissed me off in a way that they left all that equipment there. Like we paid for that, and now it's going to be used probably against our soldiers, and that's really, really frustrating. Really frustrating. Again, I feel like I've addressed probably all the adequate things here. You know, it's sad to see these images. It's frustrating as a soldier, knowing that I've had friends that have ultimately paid the biggest sacrifice you can out there. It wasn't a waste. People saying it was a waste. It wasn't a waste. Granted, we should have been out earlier, but families have been able to live lives that they wasn't able to live lives for a long period of time because we were there, and for that we should be thankful for. But ultimately, I think this is the failed, how can I word it? The failed kind of structure of modern civilization, of going in thinking that you can help a country that probably aren't going to be able to help themselves. Well, they can't help themselves, but they can't even help themselves after 20 years of us being there. It's a failed system that we've spent trillions of dollars on, we've lost lives on, and ultimately we should have been out a long time ago, right? It's a failed system. I don't care whose side said what politically. I think that's a bunch of crap, and do not go around sprouting politics and pushing your political agenda because of something so tragic and so unfortunate. Yes, I get the bad decisions have been made. But you cannot deny that it's been a political thing to get the troops out of Afghan for years now. For years. And everyone said, every side, every person's been like, yes, we need to get out. And granted, we should have been out 10 years ago. Did we get out the right way? Probably not. Did we do the best we could before we leave? We probably did. I know the lads out there tried their hardest to train the Afghan army, and ultimately it wasn't our fault. It was the Afghans' army fault. They didn't put in the work, did they? Let's be honest. They couldn't punch themselves out of a wet paper bag, could they, by the looks of it? So, and I might be getting a bit off track here, and I'm going to end it here, but I'm going to end it by just saying, please be respectful. Please be respectful of these people, these innocent people that are struggling right now. They're really, really struggling. They are trying their hardest to make a life for themselves. Say that they grew up when America first went in and Britain went in 20 years ago, right? They're 20-year-old and they don't want to live in a country ruled by terrorists. Then they're trying to get out, okay? These are the people we need to help. We need to help them. We can't sit back and say no after we just leave. If there's refugees from these countries that need help, they deserve the help. If they don't want to be part of this country, once we leave, then we should have a responsibility to let the people who are innocent, the women, the children, and all that lot, have the opportunity elsewhere. I think that's probably the best way to put it. So again, be respectful. Don't use this to bolster your political agenda. And there's probably way more we can discuss about this, and maybe we will in the comment section. You know me, I've never sprouted politics. I've never really talked about anything like this on the channel before, and it's hard. It's hard for me to talk about, and not because I don't want to talk about it, because obviously I do. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. But it's more because it's a very sensitive subject that I feel like I'll never be qualified to give a good opinion on this, right? I feel like no one is really qualified to understand the intricacies that go into something like this. And if you feel like you do, you probably don't. We could give our opinions on the situation, but we could never give a solution on how it should have been done. Apart from, maybe we should have been out earlier. How that would have happened, I don't know. Would the same situation have happened 10 years ago if we left 10 years ago? Probably. Is there a way that we could have pulled out of the country without having this? Maybe. I am not qualified nor smart enough to know how that works, or how it could have been done. It just is what it is. Unfortunately, while we're squabbling over here and pointing fingers, there are people over there who are risking their lives to leave that country now and are dying and need help. So be respectful, guys, and that's it. That's all I think I've got to say. If there's anything else, I will leave it in the comments and I will talk to you in the comments. But other than that, I love you all. We are very blessed to be in the situation we are right now. Hug your family, hug your kids, and just know that we're lucky to be in a country that isn't in the same situation as them. And yeah, that's going to end it there. I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.